Finding the best deal on a phone can be difficult, but today we're going to talk about a phone that's held its own pretty much since I've had it and since a lot of you guys purchased it, the Pixel 3a and the Pixel 3a XL. This is in fact the front camera on the Pixel 3a XL. We're going to go ahead and get this video going with a follow-up on this phone. Let's do it. So with all the phones that are out there that are affordable in price, the Google Pixel 3 XL is still one of my favorites. I mean, it really is a device that you could probably use for some time to come. It's got a nice big screen, a nice big battery, great. I mean, when I say great cameras, I don't say that loosely. I mean, I genuinely feel like the Pixel 3a XL and just any of the Pixel devices after the Pixel 2, basically the Pixel 3 going forward, I think these are the devices that you should really pay attention to if you want to, in fact, grab a Pixel device or just a phone that you would consider somewhat of a budget. This phone has a 6-inch 1080p display with a 12 megapixel camera on the rear, 4 gigs of RAM and a Snapdragon 670 with a 3700 milliamp hour battery inside. Now, this phone is probably a phone with some of the strongest haptic feedback I have ever seen on a device. Like, meaning you text with it, you do anything when you're touching the screen, you're typing and you're doing these buttons on the bottom. It just feels fantastic. Haptic feedback is something that I learned over the years of using smartphones that people tend to like if it's got a strong haptic feedback. Now, the hardware on this thing, it has this, plastic build, but this is in fact really a great phone. I mean, when you look at something like the Pixel 4 XL, you can see how it is. I mean, the devices, genuinely, to me, these are some good looking phones. But some people don't like the subtle look of these phones and they're turned off by them. Some people think that they're ugly. I personally think these are some good looking phones. And what makes the Pixel 3 XL stand out is it has that fingerprint reader on the back and it has that headphone jack. Some things you're just not going to be able to get in a flagship, quote unquote flagship today. And the headphone jack is one of them. Very few companies are bringing out phones today that have a headphone jack in them that's considered a flagship. They're just not doing it, folks. It's not happening. So with the Google Pixel 3a XL, this is a phone that I think people fell in love with it. It's been out for almost a year now. So, I mean, I could do a 12-month follow-up because I've actually had this since it launched. And it came out in May of 2019, and we're in March of 2020. So, I could definitely give you a year review because, I have no intentions on getting rid of this device. It's such a great device that, why get rid of it? It works. It's a great phone. I use it for my Google Fi nearly 100% of the time. Like if I take this SIM card out of here from my Google Fi account, I'm testing something else or I'm switching it over to another Google device. And I think that's important to note that I use Google products on Google Fi, period. I've tested an iPhone on my Google Fi account, but I switched it right back after doing some testing and got right back to what I thought was important. So at the beginning of the video, as you can see, I showed you the cameras because cameras are something that I think has become the forefront of what people consider an important part of having a smartphone. If the cameras aren't right and the battery's not right, and the software is not right, it's probably not going to do very well. All of those areas right there for me, the cameras get a 10, the battery gets a 10, and the software gets a 10. This phone lasts me generally about 2 days on a charge, roughly. As you can see there, I've got 2 days on this charge right here. And it's been sitting idle because I've been away from the house. The only thing I've done with it recently in the last 24 hours was I shot a couple of videos and I took a couple of photos. But I take a photo nearly every day with this phone, and I shot that video, the intro for this video. But I normally get between 6 to 8 hours of screen on time, roughly, on every charge. Now, even though that is at 45%, if I continuously stay on this phone up until it dies, I'll easily pull in another 5 hours of screen on time, probably, maybe 4.5 to 5. The battery on this thing is absolutely incredible. It is nothing to shake a leg at. It does have Android 10. with this February security patch. It's up to date, so it'll definitely get the March security patch. I'm not worried about it. I haven't even tried because I don't think it's out yet, but it'll for sure get that particular update. Now, what's something about this phone that, is suspect, is questionable? That is the memory options, because this phone actually retails for $479, but you could definitely get it at a discounted price, especially if you have Fi. Fi offers this phone for $100 off almost all the time. And a lot of people, I've been with Fi this is my 4th year, I believe, or going on my 5th year maybe. And they give you something. This isn't a reason to switch to Fi, but Fi, I love the unlimited talk and the unlimited text. But every year they send out gifts to customers who keep their services active over the year. They've been doing this since I had the service, but I thought, wow, that's a pretty, cool thing to do for customers, to give a little something back. And they send out some great gifts, man. I mean, this year I got the latest speaker that they offer. So I thought that was pretty cool. I forgot what I got in the previous years, but I did get all the gifts that they offered. So pricing on this thing is something that is questionable because there are tons of other phones out right now. Like, let's just be honest here. Let me get this phone here. One of my favorite phones is $499 basically right now, and that is the OnePlus 7T. It is $499, and in reality, it's packing way better specs on paper. The battery is roughly the same. I don't get as much longest standby time on here, but the battery is generally the same. Cameras kill it over here. The cameras on the Pixel are way better. Video is probably right on par with the Pixel. These are probably about the same. They both don't have the best video, but they have good video. But still shots are definitely going to go to the Pixel. Design and everything goes to the OnePlus. Obviously, I like that better. It's a metal chassis. It's got a Snapdragon 855 Plus, 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage. This is just a way better deal if both of these are side by side. Let's just be honest here. If both of those phones are side by side, I'm not going to tell a person to get the Pixel. I'm going to get the OnePlus. It's not officially stock Android, but if you can get this, if this stays on sale or has a permanent price cut. Now that phone is actually $599, but it got a price cut recently to $499. So this phone has a price cut right now too, pretty much at $379 it is. So this is the better purchase, but if they were the same price at $499, I'm going to tell a person to probably go ahead and get the OnePlus. And that's just my personal opinion about it. You get double the storage and double the RAM for the same cost. And you kind of get a better display, if you will. So, I've had this screen protector on here since I had the phone, and it has that, it has Asahi Dragon Tail glass. Basically, some old cheap glass that scratches really easy, and it does scratch really easy. But in some places, you can find this phone for a very low cost, and I suggest you do your own homework if you decide to do so. But ultimately, folks, this phone has aged incredibly well, and I literally use this phone every day for phone calls, texts, and so on. Today I've been out of town, so I just came back and I thought I gotta hurry, because I use this every day, so I was like, I gotta hurry and get a video out on this. I really wish that this phone had 4K at 60, but it has 4K. And I think what's important about that is if in fact Google, I keep it in 1080p at 60, but if Google decides to switch it to or give it some kind of update to enable the 4K at 60, that would actually be fantastic, but I don't believe it's gonna happen. But you just go into 4K right there and you go into your settings and it'll switch over to 4K. And then these are the settings that you get here. So I think did the camera crash on me? Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Had a little hiccup. There we go. So here's the, here is the 4K settings. And, it takes away the option for 60 frames per second. But 60 frames per second isn't something that you just have to have. It's something that we love. But this phone really shines for portrait shots. It shines for still shots. The night mode is incredible. Pretty much everything you can do with a phone that has more than one camera can be done with this phone ultimately. And it does it even better. So cameras, battery, software, those three are good to you folks. I think you'll love this phone. Now it is unlocked but you can use it pretty much on any carrier. I believe you can use Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. This phone works on all of them, I believe. So it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to get a phone like this. But I personally feel like this is a win-win. The software is blazing fast. It's just, how can I say, it's just a great phone. It's a great all-around phone. The 3A is another one. The smaller variant is the one I really want to try. It's only $299. That is just a stupid deal. So you do the math on what you want to consider a great smartphone purchase, but budget phones, anything, when phones start to get to like, 300 or less or something like that, I think you really start 400 or less, you start to consider, you can officially go ahead and get quote unquote previous year's flagships or some current phones that are not even previous year. They just have the highest processors and they got Snapdragon 855s in them. So it's up to you to decide what you want to do as a pickup for yourself. So it's your man Jay. Follow up on the Pixel 3a XL. Hope you enjoyed. I know you guys are still using this phone because Team Pixel, it is a beast. Just like this. Shout out to my man LaShawn. Holla at you.